Hey, I'm right back with another video. It's 10:47 a.m. It is January 16th and Thursday morning. And so I am going to be running some errands today. And I was just kind of thinking about what I did yesterday. As everyone knows, it was my birthday yesterday. So, of course, being in isolation that I am, really not a whole lot of going on for my birthday. But I did go out and get my birthday donuts. And I decided yesterday that I was just gonna, do things that I wanted to do. So I usually don't watch TV, but I kept thinking, you know what, I'll go ahead and take in a movie, right? So I decided to flip around and see if there was any movies. And of course, I think the biggest issue in my life right now is the topic of human trafficking, gang stalking, because that's pretty much all I've dealt with for the last 6 years. I mean, it's been going on longer than that, but that's I would say the length of time that I realized that something was seriously, intensely wrong. So I typed in, human trafficking. So this particular movie came up. And, some of these movies that you have to pay for, but we all know Marie's on a budget because she's a victim of human trafficking. So I really didn't want to dole out any money to watch a movie. So this was a free movie. And for anybody who's interested in watching this movie, it's called Human Trafficking. That's what it's called. It has Donald Sutherland in it. And it is Tubi is like a free station, There's so many of these channels. Like, when I was growing up, it's like I'm used to the channels 2 through 13. We have all these, options now. We have Netflix, we have Prime Video, we have all these different things, so it's like, wow. Well, anyway, this particular one was free, so I decided to watch it. Now, as you know, I am a victim of human trafficking, okay, and there's different versions of human trafficking, some far more intense than what I dealt with, okay. My targeting or my trafficking related to, employment manipulation. I suspect that it kind of has a sexual element to it, only because of the fact that I was being trying to be forced into a marriage or stay in a marriage or whatever. This particular this movie, it is a 2-part movie, by the way. It is dealing mainly with people who come from different countries, under like some sort of lore. Like in this movie, these women were from Russia. Some were from like the Philippines too as well. But they were offered like modeling jobs, okay, to young attractive girls in the Ukraine. It was Ukraine, yeah. Anyway, I thought it was Russia. Well, whatever. Anyway, so they were being coaxed into going to this what they thought was a modeling agency. And then, of course, these girls were really happy because they wanted to have a modeling career. They wanted to come to the U.S. They wanted to be famous. They wanted to, live out their dreams, basically. But they ended up getting conned, okay? And so they were basically forced into some sort of form of prostitution. And, the movie was really intense. And it was good, and it really made me think about the suffering in this world, okay? Now, obviously, I will tell you, when you are dealing with human trafficking and your employment is being manipulated, and you're dealing with employers that are doing things that are not ethical, and you're feeling the effects of the, I would say, unprofessional behavior of certain people, the unethical behavior of the certain people. But this movie was very, very intense. Seeing there were scenes where women were getting raped. There were children involved, young girls. Okay, oftentimes, I mean, when you're dealing with human slavery or human trafficking, there is nothing sacred to the people who are handling these women. So they were showing like little kids who are being forced to do things that and it made me think about how this is based on reality. These stories these different people that were being featured in this particular movie, the different scenes, the different scenarios or whatever, were based on real life issues, okay? And I think about how often, people, not just from the Ukraine or the Philippines or people here in this country get trafficked. And of course, we have people who come from different countries that come here to get trafficked. I mean, this sort of stuff goes on all throughout the world. But to see these people suffer, I mean, I I was thinking, my gosh, the terror that these people experienced, made me, feel so much compassion for them. Like, it made me for a minute forget my problems. Now, don't get me wrong. I think my problem is a very heavy problem. It's a burden. It's something that I wake up in the middle of the night. I deal with it. I deal with a lot of stress relating to this issue. Okay, but can you imagine being a girl, maybe 16, 18, anywhere from 16 to 18 years old, leaving your country, coming to another country? Somebody, takes your passport and basically is holding you against your will, and you being forced to do things that you never were prepared to deal with, things that are traumatizing over and over and over again. And you can get physically abused, because these men were using these women for all kinds of sexual I guess sexual pleasure or whatever. Okay, so there was nothing sacred with these people. They were doing anything and everything, and it's all against your will. It was very heartbreaking to me, and I kept thinking, it made me wish that I could do something to change that. And I know it's a problem that's way too big for just me. You know what I mean? But and I'm not somebody who gets involved in causes. I'm not. Okay, I'm, like I said, I would prefer to stay out of the world issues as much as I possibly can, because I don't really think it's too big. It's way too big. Okay, but I kept thinking, what would I do if I encountered somebody who was going through that? Would I help this person? And I kept thinking, gosh, there was so much that there's so much I wish I could do, to save people from this issue, from all kinds of trafficking, whether it be, just like your community harassment or human trafficking on what I consider a lower level, but still very intense, very traumatizing, emotionally draining, to something that is extremely terrifying, like what these young girls are going through. Either way, I mean, it takes a toll on you. Okay, so there's a lot. I mean, I have a lot of compassion for human suffering, a lot, and I would love to, help more in organizations like that. But the thing is that I know a lot of them, I don't really have a lot of faith in a lot of them, because I just don't. Okay, so I guess you have to handle things like on an individual basis. Like if somebody, who is a trafficking victim, wanted me to help them, I probably would. I mean, I probably would do that. I would, if I could, if I had the ability, the resources to help them, I would definitely help them. These are some people who are in desperate situations. Nobody brings that on themselves. They don't bring it on themselves. It's just a lot of victims, And then I also noticed in the movie where the handlers, the people who were handling these women, the insensitive behavior, like they were extremely narcissistic, people begging for their lives, and the expression on their face, and them not even being open to understanding the suffering that they were causing. All these people were just nothing more than like commodities to these people, and that was it. They didn't think of these people as human beings. They didn't think about these people who had families that they wanted to get back home to. It wasn't important to them. What was important to them was like the money, and imagine how terrifying that is for a little child to be kidnapped from their parents. And then, oh my gosh, I get so emotional when I think about it, So I think, this issue has made me extremely compassionate, because I see that there's so much suffering. There's so much suffering in this world, so much. And there's so very little we can do. And I know that what's here on this earth is just really, it's a very wicked system. It's extremely wicked. And I know in some ways I believe that it was meant to be, because I mean, there's nothing really here on this earth that indicates that this is something that is like godly. Okay, like I mentioned before, I believe that earth is a place where the devil basically runs free, and it is a place of torment. It is. It's a place of torment. Really, it is. But I guess some people don't see it that way. And it's hard for people to relate to other people. But I guess maybe I'm one of those people. I've always been very, I guess, empathetic or whatever since I was a kid. You know, like certain things would move me to tears, whereas it wouldn't really affect other kids. Like, you know, I remember watching cartoons, you know, when I was younger, and I would get teary-eyed. Like, for example, if like Bambi's mom died or something, you know, that would stick with me for a very long time, you know. Whereas other kids might watch it and be like, yeah, then their mom died, but it's not that big of a deal. To me, it was like, oh my gosh, this is the most terrible thing in the world, you know. I guess maybe I guess maybe that's one of the reasons why my family bullied me so much, is because, you know, I am different. Like they don't have the ability to feel compassion, you know, whereas I do, you know. And I wish in the, you know, more than anything in this world, that things like human trafficking would stop. I wish it would. I wish it could, you know, but I know there's a lot of money to be made on other people, you know, and I'm aware of that. You know, all I can really do is, you know, suggest that people be as safe as they possibly can when it comes to, you know, employment issues. You know, try to be as ethical as you possibly can when it comes to your family. Make sure your family doesn't go out and spill your business or gossip about you or talk about things that they don't know or they suspect you of, or, you know, just whatever. You know, just be careful about what you say and do. You know, women should not be walking around at night. They should not be, you know, being by themselves in dark areas, you know, or places where they could be abducted or things like that. You know, that's all I can really do, which is this kind of stuff has been said over and over and over again. But when you see things like this, you're like, my gosh, how could we? I wish I could stop it. I wish I could. But anyway, I highly recommend that movie, you know, and it wasn't a bad birthday yesterday. I mean, could have been better. It could have been better, you know, but it wasn't a bad birthday. I spent the time watching that movie, and then I went to bed pretty early. And, you know, it took me a while to fall asleep, but, you know, I was just thinking about how, you know, I feel as though I've dealt with a lot of narcissistic abuse throughout my life, you know, with my ex-family, and then like dealing with employers and all these other people who got involved. They don't understand or see you as a person. That's why they allow themselves to treat you the way that they do, you know, and it's hard for them to relate or see what they're doing was wrong, you know, and that's what allows them to continue to do it. It's like they don't understand. And if they do understand, they're more concerned about, well, how they're going to benefit from your misfortune. You know, and it's a very dangerous thing to, a dangerous situation to be in. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Just like I said, January is Stalking Awareness Month. Stalking and human trafficking, to me, are one and the same. They're very similar, okay? When you're dealing with somebody who I would consider to be like a handler, controller, somebody who is trying to control you, or, you know, whether they're setting up your jobs or whatever, it's very similar. Because when you're in issues of human trafficking, they want to know what you're doing, they're monitoring you, you're under surveillance, so on and so forth. So it's all very similar. I see where they're interconnected, you know? And so I did a video a few years ago, I think it was 2016, and I'm just kind of like, you know, thinking, you know, how much I wish that this could be more talked about more in professional social circles, you know, and people be trained on what to look for victims you know, because sometimes you might be working with a person and you notice that this particular person doesn't have the same flexibility like other people. Like, they might be at work and everybody else, I mean, I was never like prevented from having breaks, but there are some people who are targeted, who have what I call handlers, or people who are kind of controlling their life, who will say, well, everyone else is going to go on break, but this person can't take a break. They're not allowed to take breaks. Okay, this particular person, they have to work the entire day through, and nobody seems to think about why this person has to work all the day through. They don't have to. They don't think about that, you know. Or they might be offering, you know, everyone else health benefits, but you're not able to take advantage of those benefits. Or they might offer people certain like benefit packages, health insurance, you know, certain things. But this one particular person is not allowed to access company benefits, these sort of things. Okay, so if you notice that this sort of stuff is going on with certain people that you're working with, and I know you don't want to be intrusive, okay, but if you notice that there's certain things that seem inconsistent, okay, there's got to be some way that you could try to help. And then maybe you could drop them an anonymous note. You could somehow let them know, and try to help as much as you possibly can. You know what I mean? Without, you don't have to be extremely intrusive, you know, because you don't want to sit here and like ruffle feathers or anything like that. But there's a lot of people who are suffering in front of your face and you can't see it. Okay? Like for me, yeah, I got a paycheck. Okay, yeah, I made my money, whatever. But there were ways that I was always being mistreated at work, and this should have been paid attention to. It should have been acknowledged. Okay? So, you know, I wish that employers would, like, just like they do have sexual harassment training, I wish that they would do human trafficking / gang stalking, because it is an issue. And I know there's a lot of money to be made on it. I know people take advantage of it. I know human slavery, it's a high dollar industry, or it's bad. Okay, I know people take advantage of it, but I wish things could turn around. You know what I mean? I wish they would. I wish that, you know, because there's so many people who are working jobs and maybe they're being forced to sign over their paycheck. They might be working for just tips. They may be working and not get benefits. They could be working and doing all kinds of, like, you know, wonderful things, but they never seem to get promoted. You know, it's wrong to work a person like that. I think about how many years I've worked and have really, like, I have nothing to show for it. Like, I can't go out and improve myself, you know, and that's wrong. It's wrong, you know, and but maybe if there's somebody out there who cares enough to see a person and question, you know, because if they see somebody who lives in a place and their house is under surveillance, like, you know, they're being monitored or whatever, or they're not allowed to, you know, have access to their own money, or they don't ever seem to have their identification with them because somebody else is holding it. You know, you got to ask yourself, why is it that an adult does not have their rights to act freely as they wish? These certain things, it's like, are signs that somebody is being abused. You know, and if people can open their eyes to it, if people can, you know, pay attention, maybe these more people could get the help that they need. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll be back with another video some other time later. Take care.